Hello, hope you're doing good. So, after this video, only three more videos are scheduled for this month. Uh, this year is going by so quickly. Hmm. I don't know about you, but my time, months and days, they pass by very quickly. Hmm. Like a bullet train. And my life is fast paced. Even if I don't do anything, I don't meet anyone, I don't go out anywhere, my life is so fast paced still. But it wasn't like this 5 years back, I guess. Hmm. It wasn't like this. So maybe as your energy ascends, as you ascend and you leave a lot of baggage, emotional baggage, a lot of baggage behind, and you become lighter, you ascend higher and faster. Hmm. This is what I have been understanding since last year. Hmm. Because at least for the past 2 3 years, I have been seeing this trend that with every new moon and every full moon, what happens is there is a shift in my energy. I automatically shift without doing anything. There is a new understanding that takes place within me about self realization, not about social situations and anything, no, about self realization, about the truth of Brahman. Huh? So, as you become lighter, and how will you become lighter? You will become light when ego starts to diminish. Huh? Because ego is really heavy. Hmm. People think that the best way to survive in samsara is to be rude, mean, and arrogant. Hmm. However, these three characteristics, they are not entirely what ego is. Ego is something different. Huh? And this is what we have discussed in the first few videos. That ego is ahankara, the idea of doership. Huh? Ego and pride are two different things. Hmm. So here I'm only talking about the few aspects of the ego. Hmm. Somewhere Bhagwan has said that until unless you become self-realized, hmm, there will always be doubts, there will always be fears and insecurities. Hmm. You cannot get rid of them without becoming self-realized. And he further added, these are not separate from ego. Doubts, fears, and insecurities, these are not separate from ego. Rather, they are the ego. Hmm. So you see, our self-doubt, our insecurities, imposter syndrome, hmm, our fears, they are the baggage that we carry. Hmm. And when the Guru asks you to place all the burdens, huh, at his feet, he's taking away all your doubts. Hmm. So imagine when all your doubts and fears are removed, will you not have come a little closer to self realization? So that's how the Guru works miraculously. Huh? This is why, it is said that even if you read 1,000 scriptures, it is not equivalent to that one meeting you had with the Jnani, one meeting, one darshan you had of the Jnani. Even if you did not get the opportunity to ask a question, huh? Just by seeing them, the way they sit, the way they talk, how deep their silence is. Just by that. Because when we look at something like this, it is unusual for us. Huh? And it keeps on coming back to us, to our conscious mind. So the subconscious, whatever programming we have received, it starts to fall off. System starts to backfire. Now what? Now mind starts to aspire in order to become like the self-realized being. Even if you have not talked to them. Because mind is energy. Mind recognizes energy. Subconscious mind reads energy. So this is why gut feeling is always true. Your intuition, what your heart says, it's always right. Okay. So we have to start with the second chapter. Chapter 2. In chapter 2, Bhagwan is simply teaching us how self-realization is not something that will be received anew. It's not something coming from outside. It's not something that has a beginning and an end. In the second chapter, we are learning that we are always the self. Let's take the example of Gautam Buddha. He went on a journey in order to find the truth of this samsara. How to escape death. Because if I don't escape death, how will I save my children from death? So he went on, and this was a part of his kartavya towards his children. So now when he started his journey and he became self-realized, he had the same two eyes that you have. He had the same legs, hands, a mouth, hair. He had the same body as you have. So if Gautam Buddha can become self-realized, you can become self-realized too. What Maharshi is saying here is, you are always the self. There is nothing new to be attained. Hmm. The only thing is that you must remove avidya. Avidya should be completely destroyed. Only then there will be vidya. Hmm. So he gave an example. He said, look at this finger. Huh? When you place it close to your eye, it blocks the entire world. Hmm. This one finger can block the entire world. Similarly, the mind blocks Brahman. Mind blocks knowledge. Hmm. So now what? Mind is avidya. Mind has no foundation of its own. Hmm. Mind, when turned outside, it becomes the mind. Hmm. When turned inside, it is the Atman. Hmm. I used to think that mind, when turned inwards and is completely annihilated by the source, then you will see the Brahman. I mean, not see, you will experience the Brahman. Hmm. But that's not true. Not entirely true. Mind, when turned inwards, you will start feeling the Atman. Hmm? Because you will start experiencing the silence. And silence is close to Atman. Silence is Atman. When there is complete silence, there is Atman, there is Brahman. Huh? So just as you turn your mind inwards, hmm, mind actually rotates, huh? Like this. It rotates. When it rotates and turns outwards, huh, it sees samsara. When it rotates and turns inwards, hmm, it sees Brahman. Are you getting it now? Hmm. Then it can see the Brahman and it can experience peace. Hmm. But just as you turn your mind inwards, the process of seeing Brahman has already started. Hmm. You don't have to wait for the time the source annihilates the mind. Huh? That much wait is not required. What is required is for you to hold on to that silence. Hmm. And that is what self inquiry is. So you might be confused between two things. Now, this is a contradiction we are going to discuss now. Self inquiry is different than contemplation, Mananan. Hmm? People think that I will ask myself, who am I? And I will start a dialogue with myself. I'm not this body. I'm not this mind. I am the soul. I am Brahman. Excuse me. I'm not the soul. Uh, I'm not the mind. I am Brahman. Hmm. But this dialogue is not what self inquiry is. Hmm. Self inquiry is a process of destroying all thoughts. So in this dialogue, you are engaging the mind in thought. So this is not self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is when a thought enters your mind and you suddenly realize, no, instead of flowing with this thought, instead of engaging with this thought, I have to ask, to whom does this thought occur? I have to ask, who am I? So what's actually happening is, when the thought arrived, it came with a force. It came with a force. And now you are turning that force inwards. So maybe you have an exam tomorrow. You are sitting silently and suddenly a thought arose. Oh, I have an exam tomorrow. I'm not studying. So a thought came up on the surface with force. Now, when you ask, to whom does this thought occur? The understanding is that the thought has occurred to the self. It has occurred to the consciousness. In reality, this is not true because consciousness does not think. Try to understand what I'm saying. The thought has occurred to you. You, the consciousness. However, the thought has been received by the mind. So, when the thought came up and you turned it inwards, what actually happened is, you sent the mind towards the self. So the consciousness does not think, but all thoughts are coming out of the source. Mind is coming out of the source. And how do we understand this? Because Bhagavan has said that speech has come out of silence. So now I am silent, and when I speak, the words have come out of the silence. You see? Similarly, words are formed, speech is formed out of silence. So the thought and mind, they are coming out of the source. That's why when you perform pranayama, what happens is, you learn to control the mind. Because Maharishi has said, both breath and thought are coming from the same source. Are you getting it? As you delve deeper into this subject, you will find difficulties in understanding the concept. It's not very difficult. In 2-3 attempts, you will understand it completely. So, breath and thought, they are coming out of the same source. Now, When you perform pranayama, you start controlling the mind. We will discuss about pranayama a little bit more after a few minutes. First, complete this. When the thought arose, you send it back to the source. By sending the thought back to the source, what you are doing? You are sending the mind back to the source. When mind is sent back to the source again and again, it starts to live in the source. It accepts defeat. Otherwise, what's happening is, Maharishi has given an example that a cow, she runs away from her shed again and again, and you have to bring her back into the shed and tie her up again and again. But after a while, she becomes habitual of being inside the shed. She becomes comfortable with being tied up. Similarly, mind, due to its innate tendencies, vasanas, it rises upwards again and again. With each thought, mind is rising. So now what? What are we required to do? We are simply required to send the mind back to the source. But how will you send it back to the source when you have not even located the source? You will locate the source when you send the mind back. So see what will happen is, mind is energy. When you send it back, energy will try to find an outlet. Where should I go? What do I do here? You sent me to the chest. Like, what the heck? I am supposed to be here so that I can look into the world. And you are sending me back. Where do I go now? So the energy will find the outlet, which is the source. And mind, when it is filled with dispassion and determination, love for your guru, what happens is, there is no requirement to train the mind, to bring the cow back to the shed again and again. When the mind is filled with dispassion towards samsara and love towards Brahman, mind itself wants to be tied with Brahman. What will happen to such a spiritual aspirant? Imagine what will happen. The source will reveal itself naturally, and it will never leave again. Never ever. Because there is vairagya. And because you have vairagya, you will be able to respect the Guru. Otherwise, you will keep on running towards sense objects. So what you are doing is, you are sending the mind back to the source again and again. For this, why is vairagya required? If there is no vairagya, how will you send the mind? How will you send the thought back to the source again and again? because you will get involved in the thought. You have no vairagya. You want to go after the shiny object. Are you getting it? It's not that difficult. Huh? So this is what self-inquiry is. Now, Maharshi has also said that the secret is in surrendering. I understand that you want to take action. Maharshi also understands. Everyone knows that you want to take action because samsara has programmed you that way. That if you don't take action, you will miss out on opportunities. If you don't hustle, you will never be successful. These are the programmings that we have received. So now even scholars are in action-taking mode. But what action can you take towards Brahman? There is nothing that you can do apart from accepting defeat. That there is nothing that I can do. So, an aspirant is said to be mature when he is filled with vairagya naturally. That sort of aspirant is said to be Uttam Bhakta. Now, what have we understood so far? And you have to keep this in mind because now Guru will give you live demonstrations of self. What did I say? Self. Live demonstration of self-inquiry. How will you receive it? So, the scholars think that Brahman is available to those who have a sound intellect. No. This is further away from the truth. This is not at all true. Experiencing proximity to Brahman, becoming Brahman, has nothing to do with your intellect, your ability to employ logic. Nah, it has nothing to do with that. You know why? Because if you can surrender, if you are filled with vairagya, and if you have fallen in love with the Guru, you know what will happen? Guru will give you a sound intellect. And you will become 10 times wiser than the scholars. It is not required for you to have an intellectual understanding of Brahman. What is required is dispassion towards samsara and intense longing towards Brahman. Apart from these two, nothing else is required. Everything else will be given to you. Mm. It is good that you have a sound intellect. It is good you can understand whatever is taught by Bhagwan. It is good. But you are still one rank below than the aspirant who has lost all interest in worldly activities, who only wants to hold the hand of the Guru, sit beside the Guru all the time. You know how boring it will be. It will be boring for those who are inclined towards samsara. It is boring. Guru is silent. Guru is not sensational. Guru is not glamorous. Guru does not even exist. He exists and not exist at the same time. So now what? Imagine the heart of such an aspirant who has lost all love that he once experienced for the world. Imagine the greatness of such an aspirant. So many objects were placed in front of you by samsara, by Devi Maya, to trap you in illusions. But you still managed to come out of all those illusions. Why so? Only because you love the Guru. And now what? Guru? Guru is the core of supreme intelligence. So you think Guru will not provide you with intellect if you are lacking intellect? You think the Guru will not give you live demonstrations of self-inquiry? You think? I completed self-inquiry as a child. And I arrived at silence. Then in 2020, I realized I'll have to pursue self-inquiry because I wasn't aware of my caliber as an aspirant. But before attempting self-inquiry in Ramanashram, when I reached there in somewhere in November, I had already surrendered to Bhagwan. I was spending almost all my days 24/7 with Bhagwan, listening to him continuously for 10 to 12 hours at night, and then upon waking up, upon waking up, contemplating upon whatever he has said. Because I realized I can't do it. I can't do it. And the attraction I felt towards Bhagwan, that propelled me in spending more and more time with him. So I was listening to his words because I wanted to be with him. Hmm. Because of this, what happened was when I reached, I started receiving instant communication from Bhagwan. I did not know that I am being guided so quickly. Hmm. I thought that I am writing it in my notebook, and then after few days, I am receiving help. But it wasn't so, because the moment I wrote it down in my diary, I became free of that query. I became free of the tension that I am not progressing, that I do not know how to progress. Then, after 2 days, when I became completely relaxed and the query was dissolved, huh, then I received live demonstrations. How I am sitting and I am asking Bhagwan, just now you saw that I asked myself, who am I? And I was presented with these two emotions. You saw, this is what I wrote in the notebook, right, Bhagwan? Now it is happening again. Now tell me, which sensation should I follow? Which of these will lead me towards the source? Hmm? And automatically, the mind chose the second one. Hmm. And miraculously, I had faith that I'm going towards the right direction. Hmm. I went in, I let myself fall, and I arrived at the source. Boom. Hmm. In the first attempt that I made after years. Hmm. Live demonstrations from the Guru are real. Hmm. Do not waste your time in taking actions on your own. It is not required. Uh, you know, Guru even heals your wounds, psychic wounds. Hmm. See, I'm about to complete 3 decades hmm, on this planet, in this birth. You think in 3 decades I wouldn't have procured so much of emotional baggage? Where is it? Have I not gone through traumatic experiences? Where are they? Where is the residue? It should be somewhere in the psychic, stored somewhere. Huh? There is no baggage. Whatever is, it is very small in size, and even that will be healed by the Guru in no time. It will take 1 or 2 years, maybe, and then the healing process will be completed. Hmm. So, what happens is when I sleep, now this happened, I think, 1 year back, before April last year, I guess. I don't really remember. When you fall into sleep, hmm, there is a state. Mind enters that state. It is not dreaming, it is not deep sleep, it is lucid. Hmm. You remain in that state when the Guru is healing your psychic wounds. Hmm. Now, imagine there is a traumatic incident that's hurting you. Excuse me. There's a traumatic incident that's hurting you. Now, what happens is energy. That memory is energy. Memory of that event is energy. Hmm. it keeps on bouncing within your psyche, mm, ricocheting like a bullet. Mm. Now, every time it hits a wall, you feel pain, anxiety, you become jittery because that's a traumatic event and you're fearful of it. Now, what? Now, this kind of event can be anything. Someone said something to you, huh? And it shook your foundation. Now, even if those words are true, now your walls are crumbling down. Hmm? So it will cause you some pain. Now, this is an example of a psychological event. Hmm? Now, there are real life events as well which can cause you trauma. Now, the energy can be intense. Maybe you are not capable of handling the energy. Hmm? Now, it is ricocheting within your psyche. Wherever it is hitting, it is creating a wound. Hmm. So, when the Guru heals you, you enters you enter a state which is lucid. Huh? In that state, I had a dialogue with my own mind. Hmm. And that happened for at least 15 to 20 days. Hmm. Now I'm asking myself because if it's a traumatic memory, your mind will keep on reminding you about it even in your sleep. It's like a nightmare. Hmm. It's like PTSD. Huh? So, what will happen now? Now, my mind is talking to me, counseling me. Mind is counseling me while I am half asleep, half awake. Huh? And I can recall these conversations when I'm up in the morning. Hmm. Now, my mind is saying, why are you in so much pain? I am saying, because something of this sort happened. What happened? Is the world real? And I'm like, it's not real, but my experience is real. Is it so? Is it really real? I'm having this full blown conversation. Hmm? And in my mind, I am calling on Bhagwan's name. Hmm? Bhagwan, 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 Bhagwan. Because when you are being healed, when there is Purna, understand this, even if you haven't gone through any traumatic event for the past 10 years, hmm, whatever you have gone through before that, it will start coming up on the surface because Purna is healing you completely. Chakras, psyche, nadis, whatever there is stored within your psyche for the past several lifetimes will come up. Hmm? And I didn't even know which incident I'm talking about. I'm saying because something like this happened, but this is the exact statement I used. Because something like this happened, and I did not even know what I'm talking about, which incident I'm pointing at. Hmm. So now I'm talking to my mind. Then I realized after waking up after a few days, I'm not talking to my mind. I'm being healed by my guru, hmm, who is counseling me, who is showing me how to heal others through these conversations. Uh, so, what does Guru do? He sees that there is a nerve within your brain, or he sees that there is a wall within your psyche that is crumbling because of fear and pain. And Guru just goes and holds on to the wall and prevent it from falling down. He just holds it like this. No, I will not let you fall down. Like this, he holds the wall. So he then plasters it, makes it anew, and gives strength and structure to your subconscious. Guru organizes your mind. I have received several counseling sessions while I was in lucid state, where my mind is crying out for Bhagwan. And I'm crying that, why did you send me here? I'm sure I never asked you to send me here because I have no love for this place. And you still separated me from yourself. No, I will not be here. And I'm saying all this in my sleep, and I'm receiving healing in sleep. So deep healing work is being performed by the Guru when you have surrendered. Now, how are these wounds caused? In several lifetimes, there was ego, there was pride, arrogance. And if you have fear, doubts, insecurities, pride, what will happen is they will be knocked off by the divine forces. Because we are all here to realize our real nature. And these tendencies, they must be removed. So in order to make us self-realized, pride, ego, everything will be knocked off completely. And that causes us pain. It gives us trauma. And then that trauma itself is also healed by the Guru. So surrender and realize you are not the doer. You are absolutely not the doer. Read everything that can bring you closer to this understanding that you are not the doer. This understanding will help you in surrendering. Okay. So we understood the confusion between Mananan, contemplation, and self-inquiry. Now you realize that self-inquiry is when the thought is rising up and you are sending it back. When you ask, to whom does this thought occur? Who am I? The answer is, who are you? You are consciousness. But the answer will not come in words. If it is coming in words, ask yourself again, who am I? Who is the one that speaks? then you will realize that consciousness is governing everything, even the mind. Huh? So the mind is not me. And then the mind will be pointed towards the source, consciousness. Okay, this is what self inquiry is. Now, contemplation. What is contemplation? When you listen to Guru's words and then you ponder upon it for prolonged periods of time in order to extract knowledge out of his words. Okay, these two are completely different processes. Do not confuse them with each other. Now, so chapter 2 was comprised of self inquiry in theory, self inquiry in practice, self inquiry and misconceptions, and surrender. So, we have covered all four aspects of this part 2, chapter 2. So, read this chapter. All right. Just a second, give me a second. The chapter 3, the Guru. So the chapter 2 starts at page 44. What? Oh. Wait a minute. What did I do? Oh. Okay, these are separate parts and we have completed, I think, 2-3 chapters. Whatever it is, when you open the book, you see contents. So in this table, you will find out that we have completed from page number 43 till page number 78 in this video. We just arrived at a heartfelt understanding of this entire part 2. After this, on next Monday, we will read about the Guru. Nothing else is left to be said. These 4 points were required to be discussed, and I would have to listen to this video again, this one particularly, if I have missed out on anything. Yes, pranayama. So my mind was trying to point out that you are missing out on something, you are missing something. And it was pranayama. Now listen. Breath and thought, they are both originating from the same source. That is why when you perform pranayama, the frequency of thoughts can be lessened. Now, pranayama has its own vidhi. It has different components. Rechak, Purak, Kumbhak, Naham, deham, soham, something like this. Mm. So, out of these, we are talking about kumbhak. Mm. What happens when a person goes into samadhi? Mm. Breath stops. Huh? Only the prana, it, it can be felt entering and leaving the body. Mm. So, what happened to me was in that 6 month period while I was in depression, so the mind was full of doubts and insecurities. Huh? Because mind was telling me that Sfurna will leave you. Hmm. So mind itself was causing fears. Hmm. What happened then was I read something Maharishi has said, his conversation with a disciple, where the disciple is asking that Bhagwan, sometimes when I meditate, my breath seems to have suspended in the stomach. Hmm. And I experience silence. What does this mean? Is it good to have this experience? Because when you are a spiritual aspirant, you are actually full of doubts. What is right? What is wrong? Which sensation to follow? Hmm? Which information to pursue further? So this fella, he was also troubled, not being able to understand why his breath is being suspended hmm, in the stomach. Now Bhagwan said, it is good. It is very good. It means that samadhi will be attained. Hmm. So, if you keep on meditating further, you will enter samadhi because kumbhak, huh, suppression of breath, is being done naturally. Hmm. So, when the breath is controlled, vichar pravah, hmm, the flow of thought also stops. Hmm. Now, I had this experience. Hmm. What happened was, I was lying on the bed and suddenly my breath stopped. And you can actually feel it being suspended, being suppressed in the stomach because you feel as if the diaphragm is being held on tightly. Someone is holding the diaphragm, not allowing it to move upwards or not allowing it to release. Hmm. So I tried to breathe. I could not. Breath did not enter. I tried to breathe. Breath did not enter via my nose or my mouth. Hmm. And I was suddenly reminded of Bhagwan's words that this is Kumbhak and you will enter Samadhi hmm, if you keep on meditating this way. Now, what happened? Because my mind was full of doubts, I was in depression, and my mind was repeatedly causing psychic attacks. Hmm. So, the mind, like oil, comes out on the surface when mixed with water. Hmm. Mind too came up on the surface. Huh? And it is there. I can see the mind, I can feel the mind and its pressure. I can feel the wounding of the mind. Hmm? Because the mind is trembling. Mind, ego. Ego is trembling. I can feel it, that something is about to happen. Now the mind is afraid that it is about to be annihilated. Mind realized, hmm, when you go into samadhi, what will happen? Mind will be destroyed. Hmm. So my mind fought, fought the silence that was being created within me through kumbhak, hmm, which was being performed by the Guru. Ah, now what? I did not breathe for the first 28 minutes. I timed it. But the entire time, my mind kept on saying, "You're not breathing, you're not breathing, you're not breathing. It's a heart attack, you're about to die." And I, being the intellect, huh, I'm telling the mind, "Will you please calm down? We just read last week where Bhagavan said that it is good, it is very good. If you keep on meditating this way, you will attain samadhi. So will you please calm down? I'm trying to counsel the mind." So I'm trying to counsel the mind. That means mind is trying to counsel itself. Mm. So now mind is adamant at saying, "You're about to die, you're about to die, you're not breathing, you're not breathing. How can you be so relaxed? How can you keep on lying on the bed? Get up, move, move, you're about to die." I did not move. For 1.5 hours, I kept on lying. And I took only 3 breaths during this time. However, I could feel prana entering and leaving. I could feel something very subtle, extremely subtle, entering, energizing me, reviving me, and then leaving. So now what? After 1.5 hours, mind asserted all of its dominance. Ego became so prominent. It was ego's last attempt. I started feeling in my arms, in my thighs, the urge to get up from the bed and to run towards the terrace to have fresh air. I even tried to suppress this last attempt of the mind. I could not. I lost the battle. I got up. I ran towards the terrace and I started running on the terrace. I was pacing back and forth. What is happening? What is happening? What is happening? What is happening? About to die. I'm about to die. I'm about to die. So, kumbhak occurs. And when breath and thought both are suppressed, it results in samadhi. Now, you really think all this suppression can be done by you? Are you so talented? so powerful that you will win this battle? Mm-mm. I used to pride myself on the fact that I don't lose battles, but I lost this one. Hmm? And when I ran back to terrace, I knew I lost. I went up and I started taking deep, really, really deep breaths. Hmm? As if I don't take this deep breath, I will die. But I knew that I am overreacting. Maharshi informed me 1 week before this actually happened. And for the entire week, I thought to myself, wow, is it so easy to enter Samadhi? I just have to suppress the breath and the mind will be stopped automatically. Wow, lucky are those who enter Samadhi. Huh? I thought this to myself. And what happened? I still lost the battle. I lost my pride. Hmm. If you want to learn anything from this experience of mine, learn what surrender is. Do not think that you can do it by your actions. Sit with Bhagwan and be very honest. Tell him, I have been an arrogant man or woman all my life. No one taught me that I must give away all sense of doership. Everyone taught me, do this, do that, go here, go there. And I have gained this false sense of doership and I don't know how to get rid of it. Please help. I know you're listening. I know you're there. I know you're real. Please help me. Tell him I have wasted this many decades and now when I am listening to your words, understanding your heart, I don't want to make any mistake. I don't want to miss on this opportunity of uniting with you. Pray like this and then wait. Then wait diligently. Okay, I'm going now. I'll see you on Friday. Take care.